Welcome to a deep dive into a fascinating hand history from 100 big blind deep 6 max. Let's set the stage. Action folds to the small blind, who opens with pocket sevens and is met with a call from the big blind. The flop reveals 8 of spades, 6 of diamonds, and 3 of clubs. The small blind checks, and the big blind makes a calculated bet of approximately 30% of the pot. In response, the small blind decides to call. The turn brings a jack of diamonds. Maintaining their cautious approach, the small blind checks again, and the big blind increases the pressure, betting around 60% of the pot. Once more, the small blind calls. On the river, a king of hearts makes an appearance. The small blind checks, the big blind then bets about 50% of the pot, and the small blind calls again. We will analyze this line using our model solution, exploring various strategies on the same runout. Our focus is on guiding you through optimal bet sizing and pot commitment in each line, especially when it comes to bluff catching. Let's delve into the flop strategy. The small blind checks roughly 60% of the time and bets around 40%, with bet sizes ranging from 50% to 150% of the pot. A large bet of 150% is polarizing, often made with overpairs, top pairs, two pairs, and sets for value, constituting about 35% of the range. Bluffs typically include hands with overcards, representing about 55%, along with numerous straight draws. Interestingly, ace-high hands are quite rare in this bet size. It's crucial to note that not all strong hands are bet. Some overpairs are kept in reserve for a check-raise play. In this scenario, pocket sevens are not part of this bet size, so we won't analyze this line further. Another prevalent bet size is 50%, which is less polarized. This range includes fewer overpairs and more top pairs, along with a significant presence of middle pair and ace-high hands, notably stronger combinations like ace-queen or ace-king. These hands seek value from weaker ace-high hands, dominating high-card combinations like king-high and queen-high. In this case, pocket sevens are included in this bet size, so we'll explore this as an alternative line. Facing a 50% bet, the big blind raises about 11% of the time, typically with top pair or stronger holdings, using a small 50% raise. The small blind aggressively 3-bets with most over pairs to deny equity from draws, especially with hands like pocket nines through queens, as an overcard on the turn could significantly weaken their relative hand strength. Pocket sevens, however, will not 3-bet, but instead calls the raise. On a jack of diamonds turn, following a check, the big blind bets 50%, and we observe a fold from pocket sevens. The betting range here leans more towards 7x bluffs than value hands containing a 7. Continuing our in-depth analysis of this intriguing hand, let's examine the bet sizes on the flop within our model solution: 25%, 50%, and 100%. In this specific hand history, the closest bet size is 25%. The small blind checks the flop, and the big blind bets 25%, to which the small blind calls with pocket sevens. Overpairs and two-pair hands are check-raised for value, along with a plethora of bluffs, including overcards and draws. Intriguingly, in this simulation's equilibrium, the 25% size is not preferred by the big blind, who opts for a 50% bet instead. This line will be the focus of our analysis. Against a 50% bet, the small blind's response includes raising over pairs, two pairs, and top pair with a top kicker, along with bluffs. The raises are substantial, about 150% of the pot, with bluffs constituting over half of this range. Pocket sevens are always calling in this situation. On the jack of diamonds turn, the small blind checks their entire range. The big blind bets with a frequency of 48%, choosing either a 50% or 100% bet size. The betting range includes second pair and stronger hands for value. For example, with a 50% bet size, about 22.1% are 8x hands, and 1% weaker pairs with a significant presence of top pairs, two pairs, and sets. Bluffing occurs around 40% of the time, mostly with overcards to the 8, but also with hands like Queen 7 suited, since the value range includes hands like Ace-6. Calling with pocket 7s is feasible, particularly with a diamond, as this decreases the possibility of a flush on the board, albeit it's a low expected value call. With a 100% pot bet by the big blind, the range is more centered around the middle pair or stronger, leaving no value overlap with pocket 7s. The value range is heavily skewed towards top pair and two pair hands. From the perspective of pocket 7s, it's important to consider both the bluffs and the value that is blocked. Here, pocket 7s block the rare Jack 7 value, but also block King 7, Queen 7, 9 7, and 7 5 bluffs, which comprise a significant portion of the bluff range. Against this bet, pocket 7s with a diamond are mostly folding. On the river, with a King of Hearts, the small blind has a small range for leading out, but checks 95% of the time. The big blind bets half of the time, choosing between an overbet of 200% of the pot, as well as smaller bets of 50% and 75%. The overbet range primarily consists of two pair and sets for value, while the 75% range is mostly top pair King X hands. The 50% bet mostly represents second pair Jack X hands for value. Against a 50% pot bet, pocket 7s always fold, and calling is a significant mistake, costing about 0.5 to 1 big blind. We have explored multiple lines for the same runout, demonstrating that pocket 7s tends to commit to a maximum pot size of about 12 big blinds, and then begins folding to larger bets. This concept, known as line invariance, suggests that the same hand on the same runout will contribute roughly the same amount to the pot across different lines. For additional examples, consider the flop checking line. If the flop checks through, the small blind in this line has an option to overbet 300% of the pot, frequently taken with most overpairs and top pair hands. Pocket 7s always check on this turn. If the big blind bets 50% of the pot, pocket 7s call, leading to a post-call pot size of 12 big blinds. However, if the big blind bets 100% of the pot, pocket 7s are mostly folding. Overall, this hand could be played closer to equilibrium. However, in practical play, players often bluff small, especially when no straights are made and are tempted to bluff on the river with unmade hands. Note that many players in the big blind will bet these kinds of flops too frequently, perceiving a range advantage. Therefore, check raising an overpair on the flop can be a stronger play than betting out. With pocket 7s being a weaker blocker, it's often wise to fold on the turn against players likely to bluff the flop and check back to draw, a common tendency with weaker hands. In conclusion, this hand history offers a rich lesson in strategic poker play, emphasizing the importance of bet sizing, range construction, and line invariance. By dissecting each street and considering the range of possible plays, we gain valuable insights into making more robust decisions at the poker table.